Hey everybody, this is Peter Palmiotti of Human Art Studio. And I thought it would be interesting to see if I can come up with a couple of, um, you know, yeah, I've had thoughts of doing tutorials and whatnot, but um, maybe just a couple of bullet points a day and see if it goes somewhere. Of working on comics. This is just me playing around. Um, I'm going to be doing a lot more thumbnailing comic pages and, um, trying to find out what kind of artist I am. I mean, you learn by doing, and um, there are literally billions of ways to lay out a comic page, and you can pick up a random stack of different comics and see so many styles and variations and methods. Obviously, standard for American comics and most comics, except for manga, is from left to right and top to bottom reading. And, um, there's literally like comics I picked up that are essentially very straightforward, almost like six panel pages. This is that, uh, where it's just like, say that's the page, where it's just like talking heads. And that could be, that could be totally entertaining for a reader. Um, if it's just visually pleasing, it doesn't have to be a lot of highfalutin angles or heavy details or it just when it comes down to it, as long as it's well crafted and interesting story, you know not every book has to be end of the world scenario, um, or have superheroes or have zombies or whatever. It could be simple life stories, or it doesn't have to be love or death or whatever. Um, so yeah, I thought, since not only crafting my own books but working with other artists that I'll be inking, and everybody has different ways of interpreting what makes a great comic page, and how they approach it. Um, and yeah, some are very simple and straightforward. Some are like animation style almost, or some are heavy detail and sort of movie drama level experience. And all are valid, and all can be what I would include into my library of excellent comics. Um, so let's see. For today, oh, I also wanted to mention, like, I'm working with colorists now on retro, and oh man, it's almost like I don't even want to have to edit the colors. It's like, I just want to see the book colored, but without my input, without my feedback, it's not going to get done, and it's not going to get done right. And there's things I already see that I'm going to be changing because of seeing it in color and say, oh, okay, I guess this was a mistake to do it this way, and um, other things like I didn't think of that. The colorist is adding, and it's like, oh, that's super cool. Let's follow that through the issue and go with that. But it's in there are many major and minor jobs with putting a comic together. Um, so let's see if we can, let's tackle 2 points. One is as an anchor. This is something I've said before, and mind you that I'll probably be repeating a lot of things that I've said elsewhere, but um, I know with me, it's always good to hear um, things over and over. So hopefully you're part of the same train of thought. So a standard, well done comic page has 50% or more black as opposed to white. Because the average page of art is done on white paper and inked with black ink. Um, so we're talking finished art, and to me, it has to have a good foundation. Now, this will vary depending on you know obviously if it's sunny out, or if it's in the snow, or it's during a scene with fog in it, or like different scenarios will bring about different results. But um, to me, a page is more visually pleasing if it's heavier towards black than it is towards white. Um, that's just the way I feel. And I haven't exactly heard this from others, but it's something I keep thinking about and leaning towards. So the standard would be, say, 60% to 75% black. Um, So whatever the panel arrangements and the figures and background and cars, whatever's going on in a page, if it leans heavier towards black, then that makes for a better page. Um, the only other thing I'll add to that is I really, when it comes to working with pencilers who are still learning, and I mean, frankly, we're all still learning. Um, Even at this point in my career, I've been doing this almost 28 years now. I'm still freaking learning. Um, is One of the things I love to do as an inker, working on a penciler, say who is not super tight, and that's a lot of pencilers. I mean, pencils don't have to be the final product. That's the point of having a team with multiple people on it, having a penciler, having an inker. Um, is I just love spotting blacks. It adds to the drama. It adds to the focus of the panels and thus the page. Um, and for me, it adds to um, the excitement of the story sometimes. So I love, love, love spot and blacks, and yeah, even some a lot of the blacks I add, um, yeah, it's focus mostly, but sometimes I get some interesting, black areas or interesting white areas, and both within just like a lot of times like um, I've come across a lot of pages where it's one panel has a lot of background, and then it's 8 panels or whatever of just figures, and it's like that to me is boring, um, and especially if it's like limited dialogue with a lot of open panels. I try to mix it up, and sometimes what I would do is, let's say, is a panel with a figure just just hanging out or whatever. Um, so it's just a figure hanging out, and let's say it was like that. There was another panel here, yada yada yada. Um, what I would do is sometimes just to break things up, you know, just like get rid of the panel. It's like I might I might keep in this case, the line where the figure touches the panel border. I might just keep that little bit right there, but the rest of it would be open. So page wise, it wouldn't seem completely uniform. It would just break it up a little bit. You know, it's great to have a system, but it's also great to break the system. Um, it's much like when thinking about um, laying out pages myself as a penciler. Um, if I was to do a standard page, and it would be say a talking head page, so I get similar to that. Um, if it's this talking head, then that talking head, then these talking heads, yada yada. Um, I would break it up by making one a close up. And that automatically changes it enough to be just a little more visually pleasing. So it's not same, 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 same. Much like this is an open panel now, you could actually, hey, let's see how we do this. Let's say, it's a couple guys in a park or something. So talking talking in a park. Well, with this open panel, you know, could almost just like something that would bring the rest of the panels together, like as if, yeah, you have a tree behind the panels. So it doesn't even have to be heavily detailed, but and you could do like this case, like this panel can have a thicker border, but it's a white. It's a white frame, essentially. So, with your tree in the background being part of one, two, three, the fourth panel, which takes over the page. Yeah, it could be kind of a graphic tree. You know, um, so up here, you could have very subtle little leaves there. In between the panel there. Something that adds to within the panels, doesn't distract but adds more atmosphere. So maybe you choose to do a white frame panel on more than just that one. You could possibly do one here, but maybe it's not necessary. And then going the opposite way, say it is you know a lot of times what I'm doing is I'm visualizing it like a movie when I'm putting together a comic page or even writing a story. Um, Oops, sorry, I'm not on camera. Um, yeah, just it helps me see what's going on. So I'm less likely to leave information out um, if I see things visually. So here it's flipped, like in the fourth panel, the background is the tree is on the right, but you can flip it in this panel or other panels on the page, and almost do the opposite effect, where it's the in shadow on the left side, and a couple of leaves there. So it just makes for a slightly more interesting page than what would be a standard page. And here's a case where it's more black than white because I threw in a ton of black all along the right side, And, that's why I definitely would feel compelled to throw some black on the left sides is some kind of semblance of balance. But maybe, maybe the characters talking are out of balance. Maybe you want to visually interpret that. Uh, it's all up to you, the creator, the artist. Um, and do I have any other thoughts? I have plenty. Um, yeah, I always like to talk with my artists, talk with my team that I'm a part of, bring out our best work, best results. Um, yeah, and I'm just realizing like how much more work goes into making comics. Um, okay, one final point. Um, how best to describe this? Oh, okay. So yeah, I drew this kind of describes the story. Yeah, focus on this. Okay, so here's a guy in bed. He's waking up. He's yawning. He's putting on his shirt, putting on his shoes, making breakfast. He's got coffee going on. He's got eggs. Then he's locking the front door and he's going to work. That's how to describe that visually, the best way possible visually. But, you know, is things you can add to that. Like say you made the page exactly the same. But say he was running late. Say like in the first panel, it's not leisurely anymore. It's the layout's the same, but you're including another element. And like let's say there's a nightstand there and there's a clock, and so it's in the panel, it's small, no big deal. It's 6 o'clock. um, but maybe in the panel when he's putting on his shirt, you also see a clock in the background. So it's now a quarter after. When he's making breakfast, it's almost like he's like looking at the clock when he's making breakfast. So the clock's there. Like let's say this the eggs. and the clock there. Now it's after 6:30. So now when he's locking the door, he's also looking at his watch as he locks the door. And when he's driving off to work, you can almost do it like this. Like, he's flying. And maybe interpreting like he's flying into the sun. No, it's like the morning sun is rising. Like that's the road. um, but it's also a giant clock he's running into. So whatever dialogue or narration or whatever um, is, maybe him reminiscing about talking to his boss a bunch of times about being late, and he's every second counts. He's still gotta get some coffee in him. He's still gotta eat some eggs. He's still gotta get dressed, um, and lock the door and drive to work. But maybe every second counts. So, so you can add to the story by adding in some subtle or in-your-face visual elements that will make a difference in the comic pages. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you like this. This is something I thought of doing, and I'll just throw down some bullet points and random. Um, I won't say tips. It's just like ideas on things that cross my mind and things I talk about with other people, other creators while I'm working on comics. Um, is like just things that come up that you wouldn't necessarily think um, would be something to keep in mind, or just the obvious things. All about comic creation, and yeah, see how this goes. So there's some thoughts for today. If you like this, let me know down below. And if you think I'm, if you want me to cover anything specific, by all means, I wanna make great comics, and I want to get better at it with each comic I do, and have a better working relationship with other creators. So everything's an important factor. Everything's important when it comes to making comics. So hope you like it. Give me a like, um, and subscribe if you haven't. I'll talk to you again soon. All right, bye.